Hi, everybody. It's Mary here, wanting to talk about depression, or at least take a little slice out of this topic, which is immense. As a trained clinician and coach, this is something that comes up so often with clients. I just had a business owner, for example, who came to me saying, "I've been depressed the last couple of days. I just bought this business. I have this action plan, and I'm paralyzed." Right. And I just spent the last 3 weeks just wanting to hide, trying to convince myself to get out of bed, some of these kinds of things. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what came up and what I often discuss with clients, because I mean, there's a way in which I can find the idea of hearing that somebody's depressed really helpful and useful, both in our conversation and just also as a useful frame for them. And then there are other times when it's not so useful. And I just want to begin making that distinction to give you some food for thought. So for me, the thing that can be useful about it is that it gives a really quick sense um, of some pretty consistent parameters. So there's definitely a way in which people might share, like, yeah, I'm in a funk. I'm not feeling the way I am used to. I'm having trouble getting things done, and depression is on most feelings lists when we're talking about the NVC framework. Depressed is right there under sad, oftentimes. And so I definitely think it's a feeling. And because it's used as a diagnostic um, category in the DSM for people that are working with therapists and so on. This is often what people kind of think might be happening for them is like, yeah, I think I'm depressed, like clinically, and that is a place where it's important to go get help. So I really want to be careful and not come across like I'm trying to minimize or suggest that depression isn't very real. Um, However, the one place where I find it kind of difficult and sometimes not useful for people who are thinking about the idea of being depressed is when it becomes kind of a label and they forget. So if we're talking nonviolent communication, they forget to look at, like, well, if this is a feeling that's up for me, what need is it pointing to? What is my need right now? Am I needing support? Am I needing safety, balance and rest, right? Equanimity. So these are some of the very different things that come up that will give you a much different, perhaps, sense of strategy, right? So in nonviolent communication, it's like, yeah, feelings point to needs. And once you're clear on needs, then it often makes sense to start thinking about, like, okay, well, what do I want to do about meeting this need more? And when people think I'm feeling depressed, so often it serves as a label, kind of like a thought, and they stop right there and end up just kind of spinning in this space without remembering that unpacking it and, like, well, okay, what does the depression look like for you? Is it that you're feeling lethargic or despondent? Are you more detached? What's the quality? What are some of the other feelings at play? So that's one question you can ask yourself. What other feelings would I also use to describe this space that I'm in? And then, yeah, what kinds of needs might be at play? That gives you a sense of what kinds of actions you might want to take, whether that action is looking for support, calling your therapist, having a discussion. Is it about connection? Do you just need a way of feeling some resonance, of feeling heard, feeling understood around something? There's many, many different ways that this can be unpacked. And it's so helpful to kind of like think about some of those nuances rather than just kind of getting stuck in this big space that most people think of as being pretty long standing. It's very rare that if you're thinking you're depressed that you're going to describe it just like oh, I was depressed for a half an hour today. Like usually once you're there, it's a sense of like, oh, this is the space I'm going to be in for a while, right? Now, is depression different than sadness? So this gets into a deeper conversation that I think is an interesting one and ultimately a useful one. Diagnostically, yeah, sadness is considered something that everybody feels. It's a normal human emotion, and can be triggered by certain things, of course. But depression is really considered, for those of us in the field, um, as something that's more longstanding. I mean, there's a number of diagnostic criteria. Feeling helpless, feeling hopeless, not enjoying activities that you used to enjoy, and so if you're even having difficulty like enjoying the TV shows that usually really lift you up or that you look forward to, then that's a space that, yeah, like let's look at that together. Let's see what's happening and what wants to happen. Um, so my hope for you, if you're watching this and you're wondering about how to kind of navigate the depression space with a little bit more agency and hopefully a little bit more choice, because it can feel very helpless for sure to be kind of in such a funk or to feel lethargic. But yeah, reaching for what are the other feelings in the mix besides that one, and like how else would I describe it? Find two or three if you can, and then ask yourself, yeah, what are the needs at play? Because that'll really give you a sense of what direction, what kind of like divine inspired action may be most useful for you. So hope that's helpful. Feel free to reach out, leave me some comments, or let me know if there's any questions that come up follow-up wise. And you can find us in the group on Facebook, the NVC at Work group, and look for you on the next video.